Hey guys, how's it going? It's Pierre from SalomonFirearms Training. Today we're back. We're a part two on the journey of applying for your license to carry. I know it was a little bit longer than expected, but we're here and we're going to continue. So earlier in our first video, we talked about the process of applying for your license to carry and how to get it. Today we're going to be talking about the firearm application itself and the different versions that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around and give you a screen share, and then we'll continue our conversation from there. Okay, so start off by going to mass.gov. All right, so I always want to empower you guys to find this information yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and type in firearms application. Okay, so right on the mass.gov website, what you're going to see right here is you're going to click on this first link right here, and it's going to give you all the different applications we're going to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to right click and open this in a new tab, and then I'm gonna right click the resident alien. We have a lot of questions about that. And then the non-resident license to carry one. So that's pretty much it. So real quickly here, you'll see the fees. If you're applying for a license to carry, your firearm is going to be $100. If you're under 18 years old and you're applying for an FID card, it's going to be $25 right here. If you're a retired law enforcement officer, then you pay 25 bucks. And if you're over 18, then you're going to be paying $100 just like for the LTC. So those are the more common questions that we get asked, and then everything else is the same amount of money for 100 bucks. All right, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to go and click on the links that we opened up. So what you're going to see here, it's kind of self-explanatory for the most part. So this is an application for your license to carry FID card or machine gun application, as it states right here in this title. All right. So you're gonna check right here if you're a new applicant or if you're a renewal. If you're a renewal, then you'll just put in your information already if you have an FID card or an LTC. So right here you have a variety of different license to carry types right here. What you don't want to do is you don't want to click on this restricted self-defense spray. You don't want to click on the FID card unless you're under 21. What you want is you want the license to carry, okay? So I'm not sure why they make the variation between an FID card and then a restricted version of it. I just think it's a way to trick people, so don't fall for that trick right there, right? So if you're over 21, what you want is a license to carry that allows you to possess freaking handguns, large capacity rifles and shotguns and stuff like that. So you don't want to be restricted to only low capacity rifles and shotguns, which is what you'll have when you have an FID card. The FID card does not allow you to buy any handguns, so that's why you wouldn't want that unless you're under 21. All right, so here you're just going to be asked for your basic information, right? So this is not something that we really need to cover in detail. Yeah, so this is asking you for basic info. I do recommend you put your social security number. It helps the process go faster. You don't want any type of confusion, right? If your name is John Doe, right? There's a lot of John Does. There's a lot of Mikes. There's a lot of, common names. So the social security number will help people identify you quicker and stuff like that. So I think it's a good idea to go ahead and put it on. Then right here, you're going to start off with question number 1. Are you a citizen of the United States? You do not need to be a citizen to be able to apply for a license to carry, okay? So that's one of the things that there's a lot of misconceptions about that, and we'll be discussing that in the future. So right here, you got your green card number if you have one, and then you can say you've been a resident since yada yada yada. So for me, I was naturalized through my parents when my parents became citizens. Because I was so young, I was naturalized, and then I had a naturalization number, and then I had to write down the location where it was at. So this is what I have done when I applied for my license to carry. So as you see here right now, have you ever renounced your U.S. citizenship? Okay, so if you have ever renounced your U.S. citizenship, you're not going to get a license to carry. Okay, so that's one of those things that disqualify you. So if for whatever reason you got fed up with the U.S. and you actually went and formalized the process of getting out of here, then that's kind of screwing up. Okay, so once again right here is going to ask you for your age, and it's just reiterifying that if you're over 21, then you should apply for a license to carry, and if you're under, then you have to apply for an FID card. A lot of people don't realize is that you can be 14 years old to start the process of applying for your FID card. You won't be issued it until you're 15, but you can start the process at 14. So if you have any young teenagers in your home who are curious about firearms, get them started on how to safely and responsibly handle firearms and engage in those activities, okay? There's nothing bad with using guns at a young age. It's just you have to have that proper mentor to help walk you through. Okay, question number 4 is a very important question, okay? It says, have you ever, key term is ever, okay? Have you ever been arrested or appeared in court as a defendant for any criminal offense, all right? So it's have you ever, meaning ever in your entire life. Have you been arrested, right? So if you ever got handcuffs put on you and you went to jail and you got booked, okay, you've been arrested. Or if you got summoned to court, okay? So appeared in court is what they call a summons, right? So somebody would go and they would, they won't get arrested by a police officer, but the police officer will say, hey, we're giving you a summons to show up to court. That's usually when they don't see something that requires you to that doesn't require you to go to jail, but they still want you to appear to court. So that's a question that also often jams people up. It doesn't matter if you were a teenager. It doesn't matter if, if it happened 20, 30 years ago, okay? If you've ever been arrested, ever appeared in court for a criminal offense, right, then you have to list that up, okay? So that's one question that also jams people up. If you quote-unquote forget, all right, they're going to look at that as if you were lying, okay? So you want to go to your local police department, you want to go to that local court wherever you had issues with and stuff like that, and then you want to go ahead and find out the details of things like that. I've been arrested before. I've appeared in court, and it doesn't stop you from getting a license to carry, okay? So don't be defeated by that question, and don't try to lie and try to, think that they're not going to find out, because they will. Okay, so are you subject of any pending criminal charges? That goes without saying, okay? If you're currently going to trial and, people are trying to accuse you of something and you haven't beaten the case yet, then you're not able to apply for your license to carry, okay? So that's why they're asking you this question right here. Obviously, if you're going to court and you got, criminal charges, then it does look negatively against you. So they're not going to let you do that. So get that court case cleared up, beat the case, and then you can go ahead and apply for a license to carry. All right, so this is a big question right here, okay, that we get asked all the time. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? So as it currently stands right now, being convicted of a felony is a lifetime ban, okay? So I'll have people who are 40, 50 years old, and they'll ask me, hey, Pierre, I'm 50 years old, and I was stupid when I was 18 and stuff. We've all done dumb stuff during that age, and then they end up catching the case, and then they're like, hey, I got 3 kids now, I'm not into that type of lifestyle anymore. Can I go and get a license to carry? Unfortunately, it's a lifetime ban. But there is a difference between convicted and being charged with, okay? So if you beat a case and you were never found guilty of a case, that's a different story. So people can accuse you can go to court for anything, and if you beat the case, then that's a different story of being automatically banned, okay? Now, having multiple infractions or interactions with law enforcement might look negatively on you, but it is not a lifetime, it's not an automatic lifetime ban, okay? So that's a big thing that people ask me. If you've been convicted of a felony, as it currently stands, there's a lifetime ban on that, unfortunately. All right, so this is another big one right here in Massachusetts. Have you ever been convicted of the unlawful use, possession, or sale of controlled substances for mass? All right, so we know here in Massachusetts they've legalized both recreational and medical marijuana. It is still federally prohibited, okay? That means it's still illegal on the federal level. Same thing in the Army. When we're in the Army, they say, hey, we know a lot of states are making it legal, but you guys are federal employees, so therefore you're not allowed to engage in that type of behavior. So if you have a weed card, right, you need to get rid of it, or else you won't be able to get your gun card. If you have a gun card and then you go get a weed card, then some men in blue are going to show up and they're going to take your guns, okay? And that's not something that you want. If you invest a lot of money, right, a lot of time, a lot of training into your firearms and stuff, into training, you don't want to lose that because of, weed marijuana. I personally don't agree with with that type of lifestyle, but to each their own. But there are legal consequences. Okay, so one of these legal consequences is not being able to own a firearm and apply for a license to carry. So you got to pick and choose, right? So life is all about prioritization. So for me, I prioritize my gun rights over my ability to engage in other activities. Okay, so have you ever been convicted of a violent crime or a crime of domestic violence? Okay, so for all of you people that are always trying to fight, oh, come on, square up, all this stuff, and all the ratchet things you see online and on WorldStar and stuff like that, okay, if you don't have any type of self-control, violent crimes are going to look negatively against you. And obviously, if you're beating your wife, if you're beating your husband, okay, domestic violence is unacceptable. You should not be beating people that you love, especially people who are trusting you and opening up to you. Domestic violence is a zero tolerance, and you're just not going to go do that. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of cases where men get upset because the woman is leaving them, usually for something that the guy does that's wrong, and then they go and then they hurt the person. So violent crimes, domestic violence, that's just not tolerated, and you can't be that type of person or engaging that type of behavior and think you're going to get a gun license. So no, you can't have that. All right. So next question we have you ever been convicted as an adult or adjudicated as a youthful offender or delinquent child in any state or federal jurisdiction? So this is for people who run into a lot of issues as a teenager, okay? So for me, when I first applied for my license to carry, I had some stuff as a teenager, but they told me that, when I turned 18, the cases would be sealed and stuff like that and yada yada. And I mean, they were all minor things. They were like trespassing and like stupid things like that weren't, they weren't any serious type of, charges, but I thought I was going to be clear and I was good. So when I first applied, I actually got denied because I didn't state that thing. So it doesn't matter how old you were, as long as you've ever been involved in some type of court case or anything like that, you want to go ahead and you want to write that down. That also includes quaffs, right? So quaffs are continuing a continuation without a finding and things like that. So there's a lot of things that people don't realize, that when you say, hey, you go on community service or you do things like that, sometimes you are actually admitting guilt, right? So you're admitting some form of a guilt, and you're just saying, yeah, it's in my best interest for this not to go to court, so me and the state or whatever is going to agree to something, that doesn't require jail time. So that's something that I didn't know, and things that I learned through school when I was going to criminal justice is that, some of these things, when you plead out, when you take these programs, you're actually admitting some form of guilt. And I think a lot of people are not aware of that. So just be careful of that. If you have anything, doesn't matter how young you were, you want to go ahead and state that, okay? All right, question 10. Have you ever been subject to restraining order? Okay, so restraining order is not a lifetime ban. It's one of those things that are, that if you have an active restraining order, it's going to prevent you from having your firearms, okay? So if you got crazy ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, or anybody you're talking to, all right, stay away from them, okay? So I have a zero tolerance policy in my life for any type of craziness or garbage, because I can't afford not to have my license to carry. This is my business. This is my way of life. So anybody that gets into my life and they are crazy, I basically just push them out. I don't talk to them. I don't communicate with them. So this is something that gets a lot of men in trouble, okay? So generally, I hear these stories from men. They have issues with their baby mama or somebody, yada, yada, and then the person goes out and takes a restraining order. So until that restraining order gets cleared up and gets taken care of, all right, you're not going to be able to have your firearms license, or if you already had one, they're going to go and restrict you, especially for government work too. There's been some stories and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you don't have any active restraining orders, or if you got beef with somebody, go ahead and squash that, because you don't want to be caught up in that stuff. All right, are you currently subject of an outstanding arrest warrant in any state or federal jurisdiction? Obviously, if the police is after you, you're not going to get a gun, all right? So if you walk up to a police station and you're applying for a license to carry and there's outstanding warrants on you, then yeah, you're probably gonna have some problems. I have heard some issues though for outstanding arrest warrants that have nothing to do with being criminal, right? So it's something as in you get a parking ticket or you get a speeding ticket, and then you never pay it, you never show up to court. So then the fees add up, and then all that stuff snowballs, and then something that was a civil issue then turns around and it becomes a criminal issue because you never followed up and you never took care of it. So that's something you definitely want to make sure that you clean up any type of issues like that, where in the long term they end up, becoming criminal because you didn't follow up and take care of the things that you had to do. So you do hear stories about that. All right. So all right, moving on to question 12, okay? So question 12 is usually regarding things that are happening against your will, okay? So have you ever been committed to a hospital or institution for mental illness? So this is not you talking about, hey, I had a traumatic incident and I'm going to the doctor, I'm going to schedule some appointments, and, I need someone to talk to. They're not talking about that, okay? They're talking about, people who are being dragged to the loony bin because of, of things, whatever the situation is. So if you're voluntarily going somewhere and you're just seeking help, you're seeking advice, and you want someone to talk to, that doesn't fall under the mental illness, or alcohol, or substance abuse things. So there's a little bit gray area here, of the substance abuse and things like that, and alcohol. So you definitely want to just check to see if you do have that type of stuff. Just double check your documents and see where you stand on that and how the things were filed and things like that. Because sometimes people, they're not aware, right? They go through something and then they don't realize how it was written in the report and stuff like that. And the way that reports are written will definitely affect whether things look bad or good or indifferent. So just double check your paperwork. All right. So has your firearms license issued under the laws have ever been suspended, revoked, or denied? Okay, so don't try to lie. If you lived in another state and then things happened or whatever, make sure you write it. So for me, right, I clicked yes on that answer because the first time I applied for a license to carry, I got denied because I didn't put all the information that I needed on there. So don't lie about it. Just be honest, right? People understand. I mean, there's very few. Well, I don't know if I would say very few, but there's a lot of people in this world that that hasn't been able to avoid any type of interaction with law enforcement. So it happens. Just make sure you be honest. You don't want to lie on your application. All right. So dishonorable discharge from the military, okay, that is going to prevent you from getting a license to carry. However, for all my fellow veterans, I know you can get your the discharge upgraded. So there are programs in different ways where you can change your dishonorable discharge to something else where it is not a dishonorable. So that's one of the things I've heard people say it. I've heard people talk about it, that they had a dishonorable and then it got changed to a general or something like that. So make sure you follow up. You call Army One Source or whoever to look up what kind of resources you have to change those conditions, because I definitely don't think it's right for somebody who served the country, albeit it probably didn't end in the best manner, for them to never be able to handle firearms. And the military can be dumb sometimes. People get in trouble for the dumbest things. So yeah, so just make sure if you do fall under this category, you try to get your discharge upgraded so that you can go ahead and own firearms. And then, so this one right here, number 15, have you ever been the subject of an order of a probate court appointing a guardian or a conservator? I'm honestly not quite sure what that means. I've heard stories of people saying, I've heard veterans saying that, if they have somebody appointed to taking care of them, then they no longer have certain rights and stuff like that. You'll hear people saying, oh, because someone is watching over you, then you no longer have the capacity to take care of yourself. So you've heard some dangerous things like that where people will say, be careful if you appoint a caregiver to someone, because the courts may look at that negatively and stuff. So I think that's what they're talking about. If I'm off on that, feel free to comment below and shed some light on that. But I don't hear too many things about this. I think we kind of hit the the hot topics. All right. So then you go to this paragraph, right? So if you answer yes to any two questions from 2 to 15, right? You're probably gonna need more than 4 lines that they give you right here. So go ahead, take the time to go to those local organizations, find your documents, find the incident reports and things like that, and make sure that you accurately report, whatever happened. Have you ever been known by another name? So if you got married and you changed your name, or you legally changed your name because because you didn't like your parents' name that they gave you and stuff like that, you got to go ahead and write that down. So you'll see a lot of women who in society generally change their last name. They'll have to write down on this list right here. If you lived anywhere else, the more cities, the more states that you live, the longer your background check is gonna take, the more work they're gonna have to do. So yeah, you're gonna have to put down everything where you lived, and if you owned a license right there. All right, so don't go and try to lie and be like, oh no, I didn't live here or whatever. They're gonna find out. So. And then you're going to have your 2 references right here. For any students that take our class, we will happily give them a reference. If you did a good job in course and you followed all the rules and regulations and you did everything great, we're more than happy to be a reference for you. So feel free to use us. Just give me a call and a heads up, just so I know that you're going to be using us as a reference. Right here, this is a big thing right here. People will ask reasons for requesting the issuance of a card or a license. What you do not want to do is you do not want to click any of these 3. Do not click employment, do not click sporting, do not click target and hunting. What you want is a unrestricted, all right? You want a license to carry, Class A, unrestricted, okay? Unrestricted will allow you to carry your firearm, anywhere you want, as long as it's not, federal property or the other prohibited places. But what you want to check off is this unrestricted box right here. So you can carry anytime you want and carry any firearm that's on the mass roster. Okay, so don't go click any of that stuff. Click on the unrestricted right here. Okay. So people will ask you for reasons to indicate what you're asking for. Okay, so you want personal protection outside the home. If you say, hey, I want to protect myself in the home, you're gonna get target and hunting. Okay, target and hunting will allow you to carry a firearm when you're at the range and when you're hunting. So if you live in Boston like I do, right, how many of y'all going out hunting? All right, so not many people are going out hunting in Boston. So make sure that you don't select that. Okay. So personal protection outside the home. What else do you want to do? If you carry large amounts of cash, so if you own, if you work at a job at like a bank and you gotta deposit something or whatever, a large amount of cash is gonna be a good reason for you. The other thing, if you own your own business, so owning your own business is also another good reason for you to write down right here. But you want for all lawful purposes, all right? So you want personal protection outside the home. You want for all lawful purposes, all right? If you carry a large amount of cash, if you own your own business, then those are the reasons that you want to write right here for carrying your firearm, okay? Personally, I don't think you need a reason, right? It's the constitutional right. So you never have to go and fill out an application. Hey, what's your reason for exercising your freedom of speech? No, you don't need a reason. So I don't need a reason to freaking own a gun, all right? So it's part of the Constitution. So have you ever heard of the Second Amendment? But that's the political world that we live in. So just make sure you write those things down, all right? So right here, right, this is the warning, right? So warning any person who lies on the application, right? So knowingly, so that's the key term, knowingly, okay? So if you knowingly lie and then stuff, you'll be fined or jailed or you're just going to get denied. So I don't think I've ever heard of anybody being jailed unless it's like some real serious stuff. I mean, if you have warrants out in your name, then yeah, you're probably gonna go to jail. But yeah, usually they just deny you. Okay, so here you're just signing, putting the year and stuff like that, and then they're gonna go. So as you'll see right here, this application was revised in 2015. So there was an older application a couple of years ago that is null and void. So if you're still hanging around on one of those, it's not good. So this is the statewide application. So it doesn't matter what city you live in. It's a statewide. So everybody should be able to use that. However, there are some cities that will that will still force you to write on their own LTC application. So, for example, Boston, when I renewed my LTC in Boston last month, they still made me go and fill out their form. But the state application is going to be good for any city or town. So Boston didn't deny me the state application. They just made me fill out, in addition, the city one that they have. And then, yeah, they pretty much didn't use this, but but yeah. So right here it tells you complete this form only if you're renewing your firearms license. If you already have your license, then you're familiar with this process, right? You're just gonna put your name, your current number, and you're gonna say, hey, I'm renewing my LTC or FID card, stuff like that. If you're 18, I do recommend that you get your FID card, so that way you start building credit. Okay, so it's kind of like building credit with a credit card, right? So you don't want to wait till you're 21. If you're 18, you can start training. You can start possessing ammunition and stuff when you have an FID card. So you want to make sure that you get that. That way you get couple years. You get 3 years of training and practice and stuff like that, and that will look good and favorably on you when you're going in for applying for a license to carry, because you're like, hey, I own multiple shotguns and rifles, and I never had any issues. So good to go. Alright, and yeah, if you lost any firearms or get anything stolen, you have to report it. I believe you have like 48 hours to report that you got shit stolen or whatever. So just make sure that you you write that stuff down. So yeah, don't get your gun stolen. Properly store your firearms with your ammunition separate from your gun. Right, so there you go. You sign right here. So that's the end of that. So that's your in-resident license to carry, right? That's if you live in Massachusetts, right? So that's telling you Mass resident right here. Okay, so if you don't live in MA or something like that, it's going to be a different license to carry. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, now that we've covered that, we're going to go ahead and exit out of here, okay? So this right here is going to be for resident aliens, okay? So a lot of people say, hey, I'm not a citizen, but I'm a permanent resident. Can I apply for a license to carry? The answer is yes, you can, all right? So as of April 30th, 2012, right, you are all lawful permanent resident aliens, green card holders are eligible to apply for a Mass LTC or FID card. So for all you guys that didn't believe or didn't know, okay, you do not have to be a citizen to apply for a license to carry, okay? So yeah, so now you know. So if you know all your immigrant friends and all the people from shitholes like Haiti, like myself, please go ahead and invite your fellow shitholers to come and apply for their license to carry. So yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go through here a little bit, okay? So this is just basic information telling you that you're gonna go through a background check, right? So you got your MERC system, which is known as your Massachusetts Instant Record Check System. All right, so that's what MERC stands for. They're at every gun show, so there is no gun show fucking loophole. All right, MERC is always at the gun shows. The state is always there to provide background checks. All right. So yeah, you'll see right here. Okay, you'll still need to renew your license every year. All right, so if you're an out-of-state resident and stuff like that, these are things that you'll have to do. Yeah. All right. So they say no. All right. So resident alien is the same thing. All right. So you're paying $100 every year, and it expires December 31st of the year of the issue. So you just got to go and renew it every year. So they're gonna take $100 from you every year, and as you see right here, they said do 90 days. So please apply for renewal after 90 days. So yes, as an immigrant, they're sticking it to you even more by by making you pay $100 every year. So they say 90 days, and then you can get it every year. And what they were talking about is that you didn't have to come in person, so you could send it in renew. So I kind of skipped over that, my bad. So what you'll see is, so if you applied in January 2017, right, you would have to appear. So my birthday is in January 2nd. So my birthday, since my birthday is in between January and April, I would need to show up in person in 2020, right? So when I show up in person in 2020 to renew, then all the rest of them I can just mail it in and mail in my renewal form. Okay, so you don't have to show up in person every single time for the rest of your life. So yeah, so this is what they're talking about the next time you'll appear in person. Okay, that's for the renewal, but the first time you do apply, you are gonna have to be in person. So, and I'm gonna tell you right here, it tells you first time applicants and certain renewal applicants must appear in person at, and it gives you the address right there. So you can Google map it, you can put it in your GPS. It's 2018. You can find the place. So this is where you have to go and apply for a license to carry if you are a non-resident. Okay. So this is all this is telling you right here is that you need to take a safety class. So conveniently at Solomon Firearms, turning wink, 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 shameless plug, we do offer firearm courses if you want to take them. So, it'd be really cool if you take a class here, you know what I'm saying, bro? So what it's asking you here, right, is the type of documentation you need to bring, okay? So you need to bring a photocopy of your Visa card and your passport and all these things, right? This is basic information, right? So these IDs that you need, stuff. They might ask you also for proof of address, right? So if you have any utilities in your names and things like that, you're gonna need that information to prove that you are who you are living where you say you're living and stuff like that. And obviously, don't lie on your application, or else you're not gonna get your stuff. So yeah. So I think there's a key thing right here. So walk-in service is not available, so that's one thing to know. You can go there and ask questions if you want, but don't show up the day that your license is expiring and be like, "Hey, man, I need to renew my stuff," because there's a high probability you're not gonna get it. And there's a cool thing right here. If English is not your first language, you may bring a family or friend for that. So yeah, so feel free to bring somebody to help you. So you'll look here at the alien permit to possess a rifle or shotgun. I still hate the fact that they call people aliens. People are not fucking aliens. That grinds my gears. But that's the U.S. government for you, right? So you go in here and then you just applying. Say, hey, it's my first time, or I'm renewing, and then the basic information right here. And then you write down the year, your basic info, yada yada yada. And then this is all the information. If you are a U.S. citizen, then I'm not sure why you'd be applying for this non-resident and non-citizen application. So there's all your information, same basic information that we've covered previously right here. All right, so you're just subject to the same background check and things like that. Um, so yeah, so that's it right there for that. So yeah, just if you change your address, so for anybody who has a license to carry or FID card, if you do change your address, you have 30 days to notify the police station that issued you your LTC, the police department that you're moving to, and you need to send that letter to the headquarters. So all three by certified mail, so that way you don't run into any legal issues. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that's the proof for those who did not know that you could be a green card holder and have a license to carry. And then the last one we're covering right here is the non-resident. So non-resident is similar to the alien one. Alien application is that you have to renew every single year. So you got to pay $100 every single year, right? And it tells you same thing, first-time applicants must appear in person. So if you live really far from Mass, it might not be worth your time, but at least the first time you have to show up, and you still have to renew annually. But just like before, you only have to come in, on 2020th, and then 6 years after that, so you can continue to do your out-of-state LTC every year through mail and getting $100. Basically, it's a fee. It's a tax. Welcome to Massachusetts. They tax the hell out of you. They do everything. All right. So right here is the type of restrictions, right? So following restrictions may be applied to a non-resident LTC. This also applies to regular residents too. So a lot of people think there's still a Class B. There is no Class B LTC anymore. Right? They're not issuing those anymore. The only ones that are active are the ones that already been issued and they're just waiting for them to die out. All right, so you can take the time right here to read the type of restrictions that you can have, right? So this is what you want, right? You want a no restriction right here, so you can carry for whatever you want and stuff like that. You'll see this thing about show good reason to fear injury or his personal or property. I think that's bullshit. I don't think that you should have to prove, right? It's a constitutional right, but if you do have any specific reasons, if you have any type of screenshots or emails, somebody harassing you, call logs and things like that, you can use that as a way to show proof and stuff. But I think it's bullshit. But for everybody else, you can go ahead and pause the video and take a second to read what these type of restrictions will mean, right? Employment, targeting, hunting, and sporting. That's why we don't want people to get these type of restrictions. The other type of restrictions you could also get that they don't list here is a large capacity restriction, which basically limits you from having any type of firearm that's considered quote-unquote large capacity. So yeah, so you can go through here and then read it and see what they're talking about. What you want is a Class A unrestricted. So a cool thing about non-resident, right? It's valid for 1 year unless issued for employment. So if you're working out of state and stuff like that, you got a couple of different options to do and whatnot. But I do have to note that you have to be licensed in the state that you're in first. So you can't apply for an out-of-state LTC for any state unless you're already certified and licensed in the state that you're living in. So you got to take care of that first, okay? So these are some basic things right here if you're a military or National Guard and stuff like that. But this does only apply for active duty, which kind of sucks because I did call and they said active duty only. So that kind of sucks. And obviously, if you're caring for work in mass, okay, you can only do things acting within the scope of your duties. If you're going around trying to be a cowboy, there's a high probability you're gonna go to jail. So yeah. So that's pretty much it right there. I mean, it's really self-explanatory on the rest. This video I think is already way too long. So yeah, so that's the Massachusetts LTC application and FID card for anybody who was interested in in learning more about that. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe and follow Solomon Firearms Training. We are on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions, you can call us at 857-523-0776, or you can email us at info@salomonfirearms.com. So once again, thank you. I appreciate it. Share and like this video,